The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of ParaX, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
It's coming.
All these voices. All these voices.
They're not yours. You had no right to them when you were alive, and you have no right to them when you're dead. That's what it sounded like. Good, you know who I am. And you know I'm not playing. You're going to let those women go. In Jesus' name, you're going to let those women go.
Is there a demon here watching us right now? Watching us right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
Damn, the ballgame going down in my eyes, people. Drive me crazy tonight. All right, tonight we are going to be talking about the drones that are flying over New Jersey in the beginning, and now they're all over the damn place. As of 1 hour ago, I received a report from Andy Andrews, who is a member of our team, and he's on We're Screwed. And he comes here on Staring every once in a while. He does interviews for us and stuff. I received a report from him in Gettysburg that he had eyes on one of the drones there in Gettysburg. So he's looking right at it. So hopefully he got some footage of it or something that'll get to me within the next couple days. And I'll be able to put a video up on the channel of the drone. If he got footage. I didn't talk to him. I just saw that he had sent a thing that said that. So we'll see what happens with that. But so basically, there's these very, very large, what they're calling drones, that are flying over multiple states and even now multiple countries. We have them in New Jersey. We've had them spotted in Florida. We had them spotted even over there in California. There's been reports of them. And in England, there's been reports now of drones as well. One of the law enforcement guys said that he witnessed the drones coming off the ocean there in Jersey onto land. Okay, now that's a very important distinction that he made. He didn't say out of the ocean. He said off the ocean. Okay, now that's very, very important because you got people that are speculating that because he said that it's alien spacecraft coming from in the ocean. Now, we all know those videos from the fighter pilots of the Tic Tac UFOs going down into the water, right? A lot of people are saying, well, maybe these things are coming up out of the water, out of the ocean, and coming over land. But I've seen close-up footage of these drones, and they do not in any way look like a UFO that I've ever seen. There's one that it kind of looks like a blob, where the light overexposed the photograph. But there's one that they captured that was a really good picture of it. And it essentially looks like a jet, is what it looks like. It looks like a plane, just a smaller version. It's about the size of an SUV instead of like a very large plane. That's basically what it looked like on the close-up. They've got their different colored lights, which you have to have if you're flying anything pretty much anywhere in a civilized country. That's FFA or FAA regulations that you have to have your warning lights and everything, and you're not supposed to be allowed to be in flight patterns. These things are definitely crossing over some flight patterns, probably, if they're going high enough. Don't quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's definitely a mystery, right? You got the congressman from New Jersey who said on the news that he found out from sources that were pretty high in the government that they were Iranian drones, and that Iran has what he calls a mothership off our coast right now, and that they're flying these drones into our country. That's coming from him. The Pentagon, almost immediately after he got off the air, came out and said that they have no evidence that the drones belong to any other country and that they're not ours. That's what the Pentagon has said. But what's the truth here? What is the truth? I don't believe that these things are Iranian. And I'll tell you why. If they were Iranian or Russian or Chinese or any other country that was flying this many of these things, because we're talking dozens and dozens and dozens of these things. One report was stating that there was over 50 of them at one time flying over New Jersey. Okay, so if some other country was flying these things in our airspace like that, over our sensitive sites, over Trump's golf course, right? That's a threat to our president. So if it was another country doing it, we'd be shooting these damn things down. I got to believe we'd be shooting them down. Now, the only problem is Biden's still in office, and he's kind of brain dead. So if it was another country and he's not giving the order to shoot them down, that's crazy. But you would think the military would shoot them down anyway if they're flying over restricted airspace. You know, they shouldn't have to wait for a presidential order to do that. They should just be able to shoot them down. But it hasn't happened yet. Now, our government is saying that it's not theirs. Okay, but I don't believe that for a second, because our government always says it's not theirs, like every single time. They never admit it. Okay, so the government coming out and saying, well, these things don't belong to us, we don't have that stuff, is BS. I don't buy that for a second, because they've said that about every top secret flight program they've ever had, until they're forced to admit it or until they're ready to release it to the public. Every single time they deny. They pretend like they don't know what you're talking about. So they're not shooting them down. That makes me think it's not another country. They're denying them, which they always do. So my thought is most likely what these things are our own drones. They're our own technology. And they are flying covert missions for some reason. Now, what that reason could be, who knows? Who knows? You know, maybe they've got intel on some serious threats that are taking place. People that are trying to set off like suitcase nukes or do some sort of terrorist activity. You know, foreign actors or even domestic. You know, there's a lot of people pretty pissed about how the election went. And that side is kind of nuts. You know, so it's possible. In that case, you know, maybe they're flying drones over areas where there might be a missile coming or something. They have intel that somebody might be trying to shoot a missile in there or something like that. And maybe that's what this is maybe those drones are some sort of counter missile technology that we've developed that is going to shoot down a missile if it comes. Or maybe they are equipped with, they look like surveillance drones. So maybe they're equipped with thermal imaging and FLIR technology, and they're looking for something. You know, maybe they're tracking people. Maybe there's people that they're tracking that they're trying to make sure don't escape. You know, maybe some of these people have been doing a lot of this stuff in the last decade or more. You know, I mean, it's might not be a coincidence that Diddy's on trial. Jay-Z has been named in that now. Ellen and a bunch of them have fled over to the UK. And it's kind of interesting, isn't it, that they fled to the UK and then now we're having these drones sighted over the UK as well. Interesting. Not saying that's a thing. Might not be a thing. Might just be a complete reach. Because the truth is, right now, we just don't know. You know, it's all going to be theorizing at this point. But I think any data point we can gather and kind of line up could give us a better picture of what's going on here. You know, and you can't deny that a lot of the stuff that we talked about years ago has come true. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it with Diddy. We're seeing it with Jay-Z. We're seeing it with a lot of this stuff. You know, we talked about that years ago. As a matter of fact, it got us in a lot of trouble years ago talking about it. But now you're seeing those same people and the same stuff that we were talking about back then coming up in actual charges in court, right? So it could be that now that Trump is coming back in office, all of these people are going to pay. You know, all these people that have been doing wrong and doing some really terrible things are going to be brought to justice. And if that's the case, maybe they're trying to make sure that they're not running away, that they can keep eyes on them, you know? Maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe it's, like I said, some sort of threat that they have that they don't want to tell us about because they don't want to freak everybody out. That's a possibility. You know, we're going to know more once we see what happens. And I know that sounds silly, but what I'm saying is if we see certain terrorist acts take place, or we see like rioting take place, or certain things that look like they were kind of pre-planned, like we've seen before with a lot of these riots and stuff that have happened where they had bricks set up and all that kind of stuff for the people. If we start seeing that kind of stuff, then that might give us some kind of clue as to what's going on. You know, one thing I'll probably be able to go on the record as saying is I honestly do not in any universe believe that these are UFOs, right? I don't believe that they're aliens at all, because I've seen the close-ups of the drones, and they don't look like aliens at all. They definitely look terrestrial. They look like something we made. Now, if you look at technology, who's the most advanced nation? Who has the best military in the world? Who has the most advanced military in the world? Well, that would be us. So odds are, if this is some sort of technology we haven't seen, then probably it's coming from us, is what I would guess, right? And we do have a long history of using drone technology to great effect. I mean, we use surveillance drones all the time. We use attack drones to take people out overseas, and they look a lot like what these drones look like little jets. And then there's to me, it looked like there was two different kinds. There's the one that looks like a jet, and then there's one that's more of like a straight up and down formation. It's got like branches coming off of it and different lights, and that's probably just a surveillance drone. You know, and the jet looking ones might be surveillance too, because the only thing that makes them like an attack type drone is the fact that they're armed, right? And you could arm any drone if you wanted to. It's just as simple as putting a weapon system on it, you know, attaching it to it and rigging up a way to fire it remotely. So it's not a complex thing to do. So you can make any of these drones either surveillance or attack if you wanted to. But I think definitely it's something from us. Like by us, I mean mankind. And I would further narrow that down by saying if I had to guess what it was, if I had to like bet on it, put money on the table, I would probably put my money on the good old US of A, that it's something that is ours. And the purpose of it, I would probably say would be surveillance, but of what? You know, I don't think these things are going to take anybody out. You know, because if they would take somebody out, you're going to do it right away. You're not going to wait. You're not going to hang around and let everybody see it and the whole world be talking about it before you strike. The whole point of the drone is that you get in there without any loss of our lives, our pilots' lives, or anything like that, and you shoot them down, take them out before they know you're there. You know, that's the beauty of a drone. And it doesn't make any sense to announce yourself like this if you intend on targeting somebody. Now, most likely, they're just keeping an eye on people. And maybe they want to be seen. You know, I mean, because they could easily fly surveillance way, way high and keep an eye on you still, right? There's no reason they have to be this low to where we can see them. And there's definitely no reason they got to be flying around with lights and all that shit on so that we can definitely see them, making a spectacle of themselves, right? That's something that is not necessary for just surveillance. I mean, first of all, we could surveil you from space. We don't even need to fly a drone to watch you, because we have satellites that can image any place in the world. So there's no reason we even would have to fly drones to keep an eye on you, unless we want to intimidate you, unless we want you to know that we're there and we're watching you. Now you might say, well, why the hell would somebody want to do that? Well, if you go back to the idea of a lot of these either deep state people or like the Hollywood elites that are doing a lot of the crazy ditty type stuff, those people, it might be a good idea to rattle them a little bit, because you rattle them, they're going to make mistakes. And that's important when you're building up a case against somebody. You want them to screw up. So that could be what we're looking at. Now, I don't have any evidence of that whatsoever. I'll tell you that straight up, right up here in the front. I'm not claiming to have any special knowledge of it. I'm just saying that's what it feels like to me. That's what my gut's telling me, is it's something where they're keeping an eye on somebody because they don't want them to get away from them. And they're planning on doing something. Now, what that something is, I don't think it's going to be shooting you down with a drone. I think most likely what it's going to be is just kind of surveying them and getting evidence. And when the time comes, you know exactly where they are. And you can come round them up. That just feels right to me. And I might be 100% completely full of crap. I'm not going to pretend not to be. I'm going to tell you straight up what's going on. Now, there's another interesting interview that I watched with a guy in Jersey who one of these drones was flying in his neighborhood. And he had a drone of his own. So he thought, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my drone. I'm going to send that sucker up in the air. And I'm going to get a good look at these things and see what the hell they are. So that's exactly what he did. He launched his drone. Now, he said in the interview that he had just charged it and it had full battery. And he sent it up to try to get close to these drones and see what the hell they were. And he said that as soon as he started to get close to them, his drone fell out of the sky. And that the battery was drained, was gone. And he was trying to go and recover his drone. Now, when you think about something like that happening, the most logical answer to that would be some sort of EMP, right? That the drone has as a weapon, that it can shoot out an electromagnetic pulse that will disable electronics. That, to me, is the most logical explanation of that. Unless the guy's just full of crap. Unless the drone just didn't have much battery and he pretended like he charged it. Like he said, no, man, that was a full battery. But he had no idea if it was or not. That's always a possibility too. Right? But I'm not going to come out and say the guy's lying because I have no idea. I just know what he said. So if he's correct and he had a full battery, then you might be looking at some sort of EMP that took out the drone. But it has to be something that's a targeted pulse. It can't just be like an EMP bomb-like thing, right? Because that would take out the drone as well. So you got to be able to direct that, right? And that technology does exist. So I have no doubt that that's a possibility to put on a drone. So it could be that. I mean, this is one of those times where it's going to be a lot of guessing, a lot of speculation. But like I said earlier, the important thing is to try to fix data points that we can try to connect later on and say, okay, well, we know this happened. We know this happened. This guy said this happened. We have photographic evidence of this. We have video evidence of this. And then as we get more information, it'll kind of click into place, hopefully. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I would say that if this is Iranian, then our government needs to shoot these damn things down. The only reason that the government wouldn't be shooting them down, in my view, is if they're theirs. And that's what makes me think that they belong to us. Because you're not going to shoot your own stuff down, right? But if it's another country, they're getting shot down. I mean, I spent my whole life on bases, man. I grew up in the military. There's no way that they're not shooting these things down if they're hostile. No chance. And if they're alien, right, if they were UFOs, they're definitely going to try to shoot them down. There's no way in hell they're not going to try to shoot those things down. They're flying over cities and stuff like that and scaring people. Unless they know exactly what it is that is flying. But I don't see any way that these could be alien. They don't behave like any of the UFOs we've seen. They don't have the maneuverability of the UFOs. They're fast. Don't get me wrong, they're quick, but they're not UFO quick. UFO, the fighter jets couldn't even keep over the UFOs. These things aren't that fast. they're not shaped like them. They don't look like them. It's just, it doesn't fit. It's one of those things where as soon as something like this happens, that's exactly where a lot of people want to go. And I'm a big believer in Occam's razor, man. Like, keep it simple, stupid. The easiest, most logical solution is usually the right one. There's no reason to try to make it all complicated when it's not. To me, in my view, and you guys can disagree, that's fine. But in my view, all the evidence points to it being our stuff. Now, where the conjecture comes in, the major conjecture, like the massive theorizing, is the reason why they're doing it. And that's up in the air. Who knows? I like my idea. I think that's kind of interesting. And it would explain the UK drones. It would definitely explain those, because you got some people that are being named in the cases here that have gone over there. Okay? And if this is part of a larger operation, because remember, Epstein and Diddy, hand in hand, right? A lot of the same stuff is happening. And one thing that we thought about Epstein, and the theory behind Epstein, backed up by a lot of people that are in the know, is that he was working for the CIA. And his job was to get important people compromised. So you get them in a room with underage girls and stuff like that, or underage boys, whichever way their flag flies, and you get photographs and video of them. That way you have blackmail against them, and you can force them to do what you want them to do. Okay, now you go to the Diddy parties, same kind of deal. They're talking about that he would drug people and he would get them on tape doing crazy shit that they shouldn't have been doing with underage girls and stuff like that. And then he would use that to force them to do what he wanted them to do. So much like Epstein, you got the same basic things going on here. A little bit more depraved at the Diddy parties, maybe. We haven't really heard about what happened at Epstein Island. All that stuff was kind of clamped down on and shut up, right? You didn't hear a whole lot. You heard some stuff, but you never could tell what was real and what was bullshit. But here we have stuff being said by prosecutors that are actually prosecuting the case, and people that are involved with the case. So we kind of have a better picture of what's going on at the Diddy parties. And it could be that they're the exact same things that was going on at the Epstein Island parties. Could be. But either way, it seems to me like Diddy was probably working for the government as well. Because why else would you do that? I mean, yeah, you could do it a little bit to try to gain advantage in business, like in the music business and stuff like that, maybe. But that's a dangerous game, man. You're messing with powerful people. If you're not backed by like the CIA or somebody like that, and you videotape some of these people that he videotaped doing some of the things that they were doing, and then you try to use that as blackmail against them, you might just end up at the bottom of the river. So there's got to be a reason why he didn't end up at the bottom of the river. Because once he's gone, your problem is gone. Because you can get that tape back. There's ways of making people do what you want them to do. You get him alone in a room and he's going to do what the hell you want him to do if you push the right buttons. Let's put it that way. Okay, we've all seen the movies. We all know how you chain somebody up and how you torture them and stuff, right? That's based on something. They do that shit. And I guarantee you that if he wasn't backed by somebody, that's exactly what would have happened to him the first time he tried to mess with some of these connected people. So there had to be some backing behind him. So the reason I'm talking about this is because if that's what this is they're watching a lot of these people. The reason they could be is not because the government really gives two shits about a bunch of celebrities doing gross stuff. right? It's because those people, Diddy in particular, and whoever he was working with, much like Epstein, were actually connected to covert agencies in our own government that were supplying him with money and the means to do these things so that they can get blackmail information against powerful people to make them play ball. Okay, that's exactly what was going on at Epstein Island. We know that. And they're talking the same stuff, the prosecutors are. That's, in the indictments that's what he was doing. So the connections are there. And they would definitely be trying to keep an eye on these people if it was part of a massive RICO case, a massive conspiracy case. Then I could definitely see them trying to keep an eye on everybody and maybe trying to rattle them a little bit to get them to screw up. Because maybe they don't have everything they need on all of them. So maybe they need them to panic. Because once you panic, dude, you leave all kinds of breadcrumbs behind. You really screw things up. So it very well could be that too. I'm not saying it is, but man, does that feel like that's what it is to me. And I can't tell you how. I can't put my finger on it to tell you this is exactly why I think that. I've given you the reasoning behind it, but just in my gut, I feel it. And I could be wrong. I'll be the first to admit if I'm wrong, but that's what it feels like. So I'm going to throw over to Old Boy and see what he has to say about it. And we'll go from there. Go ahead, brother.
Thank you, brother. So here's my opinion. So I've been seeing people talk about England, and then Pennsylvania, Virginia, New Jersey. I don't think it's another country either. We would have shut it down. It doesn't matter if Biden's in there or not. It would have been so much backlash, like what happened with what China did. It won't happen again. I don't think it has anything to do with P. Diddy. I think that's another conspiracy theory. I'm not saying James is wrong. There's an idea on that, but I don't think it has anything to do with that because it's in Pennsylvania and they're not in Pennsylvania. There's no one in Pennsylvania. I think my opinion is there's something going on and they're practicing. And what I mean by that is that there's something more that they're not telling us, that there's something going on and that this is some kind of training going on or for something else that's coming. And they want to see it, and then people are seeing it, and then they'll deny it. Of course, they always deny it. Now, you'll keep seeing them till somebody shoots one of them down. That's what's going to happen. Somebody's going to be stupid enough to shoot them down, and then it's going to be all over the TV. I don't think it's alien either. I kind of agree with that. It wouldn't be a surprise. But there's something going on they're not telling us at all. Maybe Iran was here, and maybe that's why they have the drones now, to make sure they don't come here again. Everything's going to be fought anyway by drones. You guys got to remember that. That's the next evolution in wars. That's what they've been doing in Ukraine and Russia. That's why Ukraine's having so much luck against Russia, because they've been using the drones, and so is Russia. So you got to remember what you hear in American news isn't the same what you hear about in other countries. Even the guy from Russia said that's not as that it's what we're telling people what they want to hear, and there's more going on than what we think. And that's what the problem is. This is what's going on probably now with these drones. There's something going on. They're hiding. Maybe something is coming out of the ocean, but it's not these drones. They're just there to protect people or something. Or maybe this is some kind of new thing they're going to do when they want to get you. They're just going to go and send these things after you, and there's no way of getting away. And that's what it is. It's like a test for, look what happened with the guy with the healthcare. He got killed, and maybe there's something else going on we don't know about, like some kind of another thing coming at people. They caught on to it and they're ready for it. Maybe that's what we're going to do. Instead of sending the police, we'll have these drones flying around everywhere. Like the future. Maybe this is going to be the new cop. Like, they're just testing things, and people are going to be seeing this all over the country and all over Europe, because it's kind of funny. It's in this country in Europe. Is this what they're going to be doing from now on? Is this going to be the new way of watching us? And I think that's what they're practicing. If you want to know the truth, I think they want to find another way of watching us. Think about it. You have a drone. You don't need police all over the place. You can send. You see something going on, that's going to stop it right there. They'll have weapons on them. Don't or they'll be flying. Somebody will be flying them. But you got to think about it. You get all these drones around. This is another theory I have. You won't be able to get away with shit anymore. You won't be able to. You can't. But cameras ain't going to stop anybody anymore. Putting robots ain't going to stop anything. But you put these drones with weapons, it's going to stop something, because they're going to drop something on your ass. And you got to think of this is something I've been thinking about, and this is an idea I have. It's cheaper. You can have a drone everywhere in the world. I'm talking about everywhere. You can have drones. You can have like 10 of them. Oh, there's some riots going on. Not no more. Think about it. If you think about it, it's kind of scary. This is a whole diabolical thing I was thinking about. They can watch you now from these drones, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you got to think about this now. If somebody barricades themselves in a house, they can just send drones in there to deal with it, or one of these robots they have. We are going into the future. Even I just saw Elon Musk is talking about that he's going to make a space base here. And he wants to make one on the moon, but he's going to make one out here in Texas or something. That's where the main thing is. But that's where we're going, because he even said we either going to have to leave this planet eventually and go somewhere else in other worlds, or we're not going to survive another 200 years. He just said it himself, and I believe him to a point. But I think that we'll destroy ourselves, and that's what I get what he's saying. We're going to blow each other up, and that could happen. That could happen before any disaster happens, or asteroid can always happen. That's not impossible. People always think that we're crazy. It's happened and hit our world numerous times. That's something that people keep forgetting. We're a giant pebble in space with giant rocks that just can go in any time. Something could deflect and go right into our atmosphere and hit us. That's what people keep forgetting. That could happen. That's not impossible. It's happened before. But I think these drones are something that they're using, and of course they're not going to say they always lie about everything. Oh, Area 50 doesn't exist when you're standing there. That's okay. How does it not exist? It's right there. They'll still say, "Oh, it's top secret." This is what happens when you give government too much power. They have these things they can do whatever they want. Doesn't matter what. You can go to court years and years later now, and they'll go and admit it, and they'll just say the guy's crazy, or he got fired for this, and they'll just say the general's insane, or he just wants to get back at the military because they didn't pay him. This is the bullshit they do, but this is something's going on right now, and you're going to see these drones a lot more than you think. And like I said, they'll have them watching you. It'll be like, oh yeah, there's stuff going on. Well, we'll send a couple police officers over there, but we send some of these drones, but not have bombs. They'll drop like smoke bombs and pepper bullets and stuff like that. You watch. It's good. It would be perfect for jails and prisons if you think about it. And they're probably already thinking about this, James. This is something I was thinking about. You want to get rid of violence in prison, that will. You know, people are scared. The guards are scared, you know, they'll get retaliated on and stuff like that. And that's why they don't shoot, you know, sometimes they don't shoot, you know, they don't want to get involved. You send a couple of those drones and it doesn't matter. You drop a couple things, these things they're going to stop. And you put some kind of weaponry, like maybe a new kind of like a bullet that doesn't kill you. They're already making it. Like you can buy, like it's like a rubber bullet, but you put them in these things and it can shoot like 20 of them at a time. You're in trouble. And you want to drop smoke bombs and stuff like that and tear gas. This would really be a perfect idea. Then you won't have to worry about officers getting hurt anymore. And then you put those electronic zappers or something on it. It knocks you on your ass. You're going to quit fighting. Trust me. This is why I was thinking about this. This is just an idea, and this comes to sci-fi. So everybody's, what the hell are you guys talking about drones? This could be aliens. It could be. There's a possibility. It's not impossible, and it also has a sci-fi feel to it, like Robot, where they're watching us now, and they're with AI and everything like that. But this is a possibility. Could be like they're just watching us now, and now they can deal with us in a different way now. They don't have to send police after you anymore. They'll just go to your house and drop something in there, and you never know. And like you said, when that makes sense. Remember, you said the drone, you went up in there and it knocked it out with all the electricity. Well, that could be another thing they have. It just knocks out the electricity. You just imagine you're in your house, it knocks out all your electricity. You're in pitch dark. There's nothing you can do. You ain't gonna. They could see. They have those cameras on them where they could see you. They can see infrared. You think about this. This is kind of true. This kind of scary if you think about it, because now they got something that can get you, and they don't even have to come after you anymore. They'll send those. They'll have cops outside of your house, but they'll be flying these damn things over the place. And that's what I was thinking about. Maybe this is just a test run to something that is going to be, sooner or later, is going to be a reality, because too many crimes are happening, too many things are happening. They don't want to get people killed anymore, so they're going to just send these things in after you. They're already starting with the robots. They'll send it to kick the door in and shit like that. What are you going to do? I mean, when they start making different weapons, and they already are working on pulse weapons, your bullets ain't going to matter anymore, because they'll just shoot you, blow up your heart or something. Weaponry is getting really different now, guys, and it's getting scary what they're doing. It is. I mean, with your gun, Halo. A lot of people realize that they took Halo and Call of Duty games, and they've made the armor kind of like that. Like the new gun, like you load up your gun and it tells you how many bullets, and you could shoot it, and it tell you till it runs out. That's one of the technologies they got from Halo, and a lot of people are thinking I'm crazy. No, they've made a suit like Halo. That's where they got the helmets, kind of like in Call of Duty. The snake armor, the new one's even crazier. It could take like sniper bullets and shit. I've seen it. It's getting there, guys. Like the helmets are looking like that, and you could see when you're running out of bullets, it's all you've got one shot left. That's crazy shit. And they're doing the finger technology that they know your trigger and how to shoot. It has like different points where it can go different sizes and all kinds of shit, and tells you if you shoot this way, shoot a little bit left, and it tells you. And in the military has it. It tells you with a gun where to aim it and how close is, and it can see shit. This is the new shit they're coming out with, and this is getting kind of sci-fi out there. The sniper rifles see where you're at. It can tell you, move over this area right there. And they're getting it where still bolt action are the best, but they're getting to the point where they're not no more. That semi-automatic don't really have a jolt anymore. That's what the problem is. It still does it a little bit. And that's what it's getting scary of. The tank can see if you're hiding inside a building or not, and where the fuck you're at. This is the new technology they're going to be doing, and they're working with sound too. They stop with riots. They can just it moves, and it makes sense. So we're going into a world. I think this has to do with military and technology, and of course, like James said, they're never going to tell you. And they're just maybe coming up. Maybe something's going on. Maybe they think Russia's going to attack, and maybe this is why they're doing it, just to do a test run. I don't know. I'm just saying theories out there. I do agree with James. I don't think this was Iran. I think that would have been taken care of, and you wouldn't ever hear any more about it, because too many people are seeing it. Yeah, maybe the one or two times they might have got away with it, but now it's like every other day. And people are talking about eastern Pennsylvania, and I think in Ohio now they're saying something's going on over there. Maybe this, like I said, this is a new version of what they're going to do with military technology and policing technology. And it wouldn't make sense if you think about it. It's a very weird situation that we're dealing with. Or, aliens might be coming here, and maybe these things are there to protect us from these things. I don't know how they're going to protect us with their technology, because we're not even close to what they are. It would not even be fair. It's like pissing on a fire to what they have. I mean, yeah, we probably have some of this technology, but it isn't nothing to what we're going to be dealing with. I mean, what I think is alien technology is they don't even use any kind of like control system. It's all touch. And probably just whatever they're doing, they just touch things, and it won't be like you could see like numbers. They just know what they're doing. It's so out there in high technology. Maybe it's even a part of them. Maybe they just, you know, they ever think about it? It's like what's that one where they get in and it's a part of their body, the ship itself, and it just runs off their body. You know, that could be the truth. I'm just saying this technology is not what. I don't think it has anything to do with aliens, though. I really kind of agree with James on this one. I do think there's something going on where they're not telling us. I know the election's 5 weeks over. There's only 5 weeks till Trump gets in. So maybe they're waiting, and this is going to be another possibility, James. Maybe they're waiting around to see if something's going to happen, if they're going to, you know, riots or anything, and this is what they're going to do. Instead of sending police, they're going to just deal with it this way. You think about it, they won't last too long if they send these motherfuckers in and start dropping tear gas on people. Then you don't have to worry about somebody getting killed. Those things will drop it and then spray whatever they're going to spray, and it's done. Like, this is, like I said, I think there's something going on that they're worried about. And this is what we're seeing with the drones, and it's us. Or like I said, maybe it's just a training thing, and they're going to be patrolling the world now. This is what they're going to be doing. It makes some sense to me. It just a lot of stuff is going on, and you never know. This is going to be the new version of what technology is going to be. And that would be kind of crazy, man, because that means I'll be always looking around and this motherfucker's going to throw something at me. Is that me in the ass or something? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy if you think about it, what could be going on right now. Red Dawn could be going on right now, James. It could be true. Like, we're getting – and it is everybody – funny as it sounds, I used to think that was crazy, but you never know, man. You don't know what could happen anymore. We live in crazy times. Shit, all it needs is one missile to start a World War III. Just remember that, guys. One shot. That's all it takes. You know, somebody decides to say, fuck it, we're going to shoot something here in the United States. This is going to go all to hell here. And we're going to have a big problem. And it's going to get crazy. And that's why I'm saying you never know what's going to happen. I think that we have 5 weeks to find out. I hope anything happens in 5 weeks, because there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. I think that when Trump gets in, we know there's going to be protests, and I'm not trying to get into politics. I'm just saying the truth. And there's going to be issues we're going to have to be dealing with, especially now they went and killed, you know, they killed the guy from the healthcare thing. And then the guy told on McDonald's, so they're all mad at him, and they're acting like they're vigilante or something. You know what? You would think whatever you want. I'm not going to get into that because this isn't that show, but that will be something we can talk about on More Scurred more on that issue. But I think that what we have here is a couple possibilities. Like, they're trying to see what they can watch. Maybe something's going on. They're watching the skies. Maybe they're getting ready for something to come on, or maybe this is just a test run of, like I said, the future's coming. They're going to just think about it. You don't even have to, you'll have like say here, they have a drone going over my house, but it could see everything. They're not going to tell you that, but it could see everything. Now, they're not going to care about people don't realize they're not going to be door to door. It'd be impossible. But you see something fishy going on out in the street, send the other drones in. So you get about 3 or 4 drones coming in here full of tear gas and rubber bullets. You ain't going to win that battle, bro. And if you go shoot at them, they'll have one that has real bullets. And that's the end of it. That's why I'm saying, if you think about it, it's kind of looking like that a little bit. Are they going to start patrolling with these futuristic drones? Is that what the new thing is? And that's what we're just looking at? And this is how wars are going to be fought and stuff like that, how they're going to police everything? Because it would make sense. It would really make sense. And you think about it, that will a lot of things are going to be not going to happen anymore. You're not going to have police shootings anymore. They'll send those in and they'll take care of it. You know, it's kind of a safety thing, but it's kind of scary too, because then if they want to come after you, they'll send one of those after you. And what are you going to do? You're in trouble. So there's a double-edged sword on everything. It's great, but then if you think about it, you don't agree with something, and they're going to send one of them after you, or a couple. I don't think it's just going to be one or two of them. You're going to see a big old armored truck come out and all these fucking drones around your houses, and what are you going to do? You care if you have guns, they can see right through that. You're fucked. That's why I'm saying, if you think about it, it's kind of a scary thing that we might be seeing down the line. That's just my opinion, James. I don't know what you think about that, but that's an idea I was thinking about.
Couple things. First of all, I'm glad you talked about the moon base. If you remember correctly, we did an episode of Staring. Hell, it probably a year or more ago by now. And we were talking about terraforming on different planets and becoming a multi-planetary species. And on that episode, I talked about what the plans were going to be. I talked about that they were going to be building a moon base as a staging area so that they can launch for Mars, because the moon has 1/6 the gravity. And you might say, well, what the hell does that matter? Well, the problem with taking payloads to space is you're very limited on weight because you have to carry fuel. It takes a lot of fuel to get out of the Earth's atmosphere. But there's a tipping point to where you can't carry any more because then you're too heavy to get out of the Earth's atmosphere. So by the time you get out of the Earth's atmosphere, you've used up a tremendous amount of fuel. Now, all of that weight is fuel. It could have been payload. Could have been supplies to take to Mars. It could have been building supplies to take to Mars to build a colony. It could have been all those things, but instead it's fuel. But if you can launch from the moon, then you only need 1/6 of the fuel to get off of that planet, as opposed to get off of ours. Now, I know it's not a planet, it's a moon. I know. I don't care. The point remains. That's why it has been, for decades, it has been the plan to do it that way. Okay, and I talked about that on that episode. And I talked about the fact that they're going to be building very large cargo ships that they're going to be able to load with payload and fly to Mars. And the things will land on Mars, and everything they need to build the habitat and everything will be in those ships. So the people will be there. When they get there, it's already there. Okay, they send people, stuff's already there to set everything up. That's the plan. I talked about that over a year ago. And it's cool that he finally came out publicly and said it. So that's another thing that I've talked about, that a lot of people said I was full of shit and that I was a liar and all this stuff. And now we see that that's true. Not toot my own horn, just trying to point it out that this is now public. It's no longer a thing that I talked about that nobody was talking about it, and that's now something that Elon himself has come out and said. So that's the first thing. The second thing, when I talked about Diddy and Epstein and all that, the reason I use that example is because that is the prosecutions that are happening now. Okay? That's just the tip of the iceberg. When you said that, well, it wouldn't be that because they're not in Pennsylvania. Well, no, Diddy himself isn't in Pennsylvania, but we're also talking about that he's working for the CIA. We're also talking about a lot of these deep state people, right? And if you look at Pennsylvania, what happened in Pennsylvania? Pennsylvania, they cheated like hell in the election in 2020 and in this election, right? They were getting rid of ballots. They were doing all kinds of shenanigans in Philadelphia. It was publicly announced. It was on the news. They were talking about how they were cheating like hell. Okay? So it could very well be the reason that they're in Pennsylvania is because they're keeping an eye on the people that were involved in all that stuff. You know, could be. That's all I'm saying. I use Diddy as an example because that's the prosecution that's happening at the moment. But it's just the first of many. I mean, I've talked about before all the different unsealed indictments that there are. Or not unsealed, the sealed indictments that there are. There's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them that are sealed, just waiting to be unsealed and the prosecution to go forward. So all of those people, they're not locked up yet. So you got to know where the hell those people are. So that when you unseal that indictment, and you actually file the charges, you can go get them. Because you can't just have them all locked up until they unseal the indictment. That's not the way it works. They're out there walking around doing stuff still. But we've built a case against them, and we have an indictment. It's just sealed. Once it gets unsealed, then they go and they arrest the person. Right? Diddy was one of those sealed indictments. And then the indictment got unsealed. They raided his home. They brought him in. They brought all the evidence in. That they gathered so many boxes of evidence, tapes, and all kinds of stuff. So that's my theory, is that it could be that what these drones are is exactly that. Or it also could be what Old Boy was talking about. I'm not talking about like the robot thing. One second, I'll throw to you just 1 second. I'm not talking about the robot thing. I'm talking about the idea that they know something's getting ready to happen. Some sort of action against Trump, maybe another assassination attempt, maybe massive riots to try to disrupt the swearing in and all that kind of stuff, the certification of the vote. It could be that. That's what I'm thinking as well. That was a damn good point he made, and that very well could be. What you got, brother?
Breaking news, 20 to 30 of them in New York and Manhattan.
Okay, well, there you go. New York and Manhattan, where a lot of the major media operate out of. Fox News, CNN, they all have offices right there, either in Manhattan or very close in New York City. So that's just further evidence that it could be that they're keeping an eye on all these people because they're getting ready to take them down and charge a lot of these people. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of sealed indictments. Like I was saying, you can go and look it up yourself on the website. You can go to the .gov website that has all of the sealed indictments and see for yourself. There's well over 300,000 of them. That's a lot of people. And keep in mind, each one of those indictments, it's not like one indictment per person. One of those indictments could be a RICO case that has up to 99 people on it. So you could potentially, theoretically, multiply that 300 and some thousand sealed indictments by 99. And then you're talking millions of people. I'm not saying each one has 99 people, but it's possible that it could have up to that. So most likely a lot of those indictments are going to have multiple people on it. So you're talking probably anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million or more people that are going to be charged with stuff. Now you want to talk about cleaning up the country. You want to talk about fixing shit. You start arresting these criminals that are doing all this stuff and getting them off the street and getting them out of government so that we can actually have a government for the people again that looks out for us. You can't beat that. Could be. That's all I'm saying. Not saying that it is, but it certainly seems that way to me. And if I had to put money on it, that's what I would say, because that's what it feels like to me. And remember, a lot of people talk about Q and all of that stuff that happened many, many moons ago. And he talked about a lot of this stuff. People try to discredit that, but he talked about a lot of this stuff that's going on now. And one thing that always stuck with me that Q always said was the military is the only way. The military is the only way. Who's going to have these kind of drones? The military. Could be. I'm not saying 100% Q was on the level and for real, but I am going to say that it's not 100% bullshit, like a lot of people are saying. Because there was what they call proofs, that Q would do Q proofs, where he would post something and he would essentially put up a saying or a sentence or something like that, and then President Trump would tweet that same sentence like a minute later. Those kind of things would happen. There was a lot of them. That's why a lot of people believed in Q. That's why a lot of people said, you know what, there's something to this. Because he could say, this is what's going to happen, and then it would literally happen. Like on command, it would happen. So I don't know what the truth is on that. I was a guy that followed Q quite a bit. I researched it. I've read all of the Q drops, and I can tell you that I don't think it's 100% bullshit. I think there was a lot of misinformation in it. I think there was intentional misinformation in it to throw the bad guys off the scent, But there was too many Q proofs that cannot be explained away for it to be complete bullshit. You know, I don't know exactly what it was because things didn't go exactly as I thought they were going to go. You know, but the thing is, like a lot of the stuff that people use to discredit that was never said by Q. You know, that's another thing. Like they talk about JFK Jr. being alive, and they use that as a way to discredit it. Well, he never said that. That's some other idiot that said that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things like that that gets attributed to Q posts that were never Q drops. Never. You know, it was just other people who would go on and make videos about Q drops that would say those things. Med beds and all this shit. And everybody be like, oh, that's bullshit. See, Q's full of shit. That's never what Q was saying, you know? So I don't know if that shit was real or if it wasn't real. You know, I know that there's something to it. Whoever was doing it had some information because they were dropping information years ahead of time that is coming true now. You know, and the Q proofs, like I said, were you can't deny them. I mean, if you literally put a sentence up and then a minute later, the president of the United States puts that same sentence up, that's saying something. How did they know he was going to do that? If they weren't sitting there with him, if he wasn't working with him, saying, "All right, I'm going to put this sentence up in 1 minute, so you post it now." Okay, you got it up. Okay, now I'm going to do it. You see what I'm saying? How would you explain that otherwise? You couldn't. And there was a lot of stuff like that happened. You know, I'm not a gullible person, man. I'm a guy I'm a smart guy, and I research the hell out of things. And in the very beginning of all that, I thought this is bullshit. There's no way this is real, you know. And I really looked into it, and I couldn't disprove it. You know, now what purpose it was for, whether it was for misinformation, because they knew they were going to steal the election, and maybe they were putting it out there just to fuck with us, so that we wouldn't rise up. Who knows? You know, I don't know what the truth is on that stuff, but I know that there's some weird shit going on. You know, that's one thing I know for sure. The government's lying to us all the damn time. We saw it during the pandemic. We see it constantly. There's so much bullshit being spewed by the media, and you can't trust anything any of those people say. So anything that they are 100% against and that they're calling a conspiracy theory and they're calling bullshit, I tend to think, no, that's got to be true. Because they thought all the shit that we were saying was bullshit, and they called us conspiracy theorists, and we were right about everything. So just because everybody says that that's a conspiracy theory doesn't convince me of nothing. Matter of fact, it convinces me of the opposite, you know? And what I say is, we'll see. Time will tell. You know, we will see what happens. If all of these people go down and there's all these trials and the indictments get unsealed and you see massive amounts of people being arrested and tried, then we'll know that it was true. If nothing happens, if Trump gets back in and fixes a few things and maybe they arrest him or whatever they do, then we'll know that. You know, time will tell. You know, but we're just about out of time, speaking of time. So I'm going to throw it back over to Old Boy and let him give his final sum up and shout outs, and then we'll wrap up.
Thank you, brother. It's not going to be a long show, guys. We only did about maybe an hour. We could have done more, but sometimes we'll do a small. The day got a little bit longer, so we started a little longer later. Thank you guys for following us on Parax Radio every Sunday nights at 12 a.m. Eastern, 9 Pacific, and the best of Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. Teespring.com. Staring into the Abyss. If you want to get We're Screwed shirts, we just put them out. Sweaters, Staring into the Abyss sweaters. The No Face sweater and shirt now from my book. It's coming out, and hopefully we get a movie because people love this character and it's crazy. And that's coming. That book's going to be out soon, like the next week or so, and I'm excited. And I hope you guys enjoy it. And I want to give a special shout out to all of you guys for listening to us over the years on James Hershey's. Remember, just if you want to subscribe, go to James Hershey's YouTube page. Thank you for following us on Spotify. Thank you for following us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever we're on, TikTok, everything. And I appreciate you guys and everybody. promote and stuff like that. I want to thank you guys. We love you guys, and thank you very much. That being said, I hope you guys have a good night. Misfits, Relays, Monster Lovers, and Demon Hunters, I fucking love you, and have a good night.
Yeah, the YouTube channel is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr., just JR at the end of James Hershey. That's where everything is. That's where you can find Staring, you can find We're Screwed, you can find Tales, a bunch of other videos, just tons of stuff. For those listening on the radio, if you could go to the channel and subscribe, that'd be wonderful. We, at one time, had a lot more subscribers than we do now, but we talked about some of the very stuff we talked about here tonight, and in a lot more detail on that channel. And we kind of got our channel nuked. And what they did was they like shadow banned us, and they took a bunch of our subscribers away, like overnight. We were around 12,000 subscribers at the time and growing fast. And overnight, we went down to 6,000. So he took like half of our subscribers away overnight. And we went from getting like 5,000 to 10,000 views on a show, like the first day or two, to like 10 or 15 views the first day or two. Not 10 or 15,000, just 10 or 15. So it was pretty obvious what had happened there, because we still had audience on the radio. We still had audience on other platforms. It was just YouTube that got affected. So if you're listening on the radio and you could go and subscribe to the channel, that would be awesome. We are clawing our way back. We are now right around 7,500 subscribers. We're making our way back up slowly. It's a rough climb because they're not sharing our shows. We're not getting put on the homepage anymore. And like they're not notifying our subscribers when we actually put up a show. But every week, we're going to have an episode of Staring Up. We're going to have an episode of We're Screwed Up. Usually, the We're Screwed episode is Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere in that range. And Staring is usually Friday or Saturday is when it comes out, depending on how long the show is, how long it takes to upload it. But that's the basic schedule. And then there's other videos peppered in between all of that sometimes that I do on different subjects and stuff like that. So if you guys want to go and check out the channel and subscribe, it's 100% free, always will be. So please, if you're a fan of the show and you enjoy it, try to support us in that way. Go and subscribe to the channel and check out some of the content. We don't try to charge you for nothing. I don't read like sponsor ads all the time throughout the damn videos and all that annoying shit. There are the YouTube commercials in, but I've got it set up to where they only play like every 15, 20 minutes, just like a TV show would. So you're not getting ads every couple minutes and all that shit, because that shit annoys the hell out of me when I'm trying to watch something. Somebody just continually every 2 seconds in a damn ad. It drives me nuts. And then in between the ads, they're reading freaking sponsor commercials in their video. So I don't do any of that shit. I don't have any sponsor videos. I don't have anything like that. The only ads that'll run is the ones that YouTube plays. And I've even cut those way, way back as best as I could to make sure that you don't have a lot of interruptions in our shows. So go check it out and enjoy it. 100% free. Like Old Boy said, the merch store is teespring.com. In the description box of every YouTube video is the link to the store. It used to be just teespring.com/staring into the abyss, but they changed it. They made it some other thing now, and it's a long, weird fucking thing that I can't remember. So that link is in a description box if you want to go straight to the store. There's tons of stuff on the store, man. There's all kinds of t-shirts, all kinds of sweatshirts, hoodies, towels, just so many different things, man. Hats, everything. It's not like super high price like everybody else's merch. We're not trying to make a bunch of money off of it. It's not too far over what it costs us to make it. The only reason we made the store in the first place is because we had a lot of people ask for it. They wanted merch, so I made a store so they could get it. But like I said, we're not trying to rip nobody off. So you're not going to go to my store and pay $50, $60, $70 for a hoodie. That's ridiculous. I see other creators that do that stuff, not me. Like it cost me around $35 to make, and I'm selling it for around $35. So I'm not really making much of anything off of it. Maybe a couple cents because I have to do it at a round number. You know what I mean? But that's about it. So if you guys want merch, it's there for you. If you don't, that's cool. Whatever. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much for all your support, man. We've been doing this for almost a decade now. And there's people that have been with us the whole time that are like ride and die, man. They constantly watching the videos, commenting, all that kind of stuff. It's awesome, man. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. And as always, like we always say, we're going to tell you the truth as we see it. But it's up to you to make up your own mind. And we'll catch you on the next one. Till we speak to you again. Love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.
In order for the light to shine so brightly, the darkness must be present. Tune in every Monday at 10 o'clock for Dark Sun Rising on the Para-X Radio Network.
Hey, this is Lee.
And this is Michelle.
And this is Dustin from the Dead Zone.
Your source for everything paranormal, Para-X.